Hello, this is Geotech Land, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Pinetime, which is a smartwatch created by the team over at Pine64. This is the same team that created the pinephone and the pinebook Pro, and this smartwatch runs a free and open source operating system. At first, when it came out, it didn't really interest me, but recently it's caught my attention and I decided to purchase it and take it out for a spin. So let's take a look. Alright, I'm gonna do an ASMR unboxing here. When I received the Pinetime, it came in this somewhat eco-friendly box, cardboard box I should say. And then the box within containing the Pinetime has some nice detailed information in the back here, showing you the options and features. And then inside you'll find the charger, which connects magnetically. So if you plop the smartwatch on, it'll plop itself in place. And here is the Pinetime smartwatch itself. It looks very similar to the fancier Apple smartwatch. I've actually worked in a watch store, and I can tell that the watch straps are like a sort of cheaper, lower quality leather, but that's okay considering that the price of the Pinetime is very low cost. Here is the Fossil Wear OS watch that I got in comparison. Obviously the more expensive one feels a little bit higher quality, but it's not too big of a difference. They both weigh about the same. So if you go to the main Pine64 website and click to view the Pinetime, here you can get an idea of the features. So of course it runs an open source operating system, which is just a smartwatch OS. It's not based on Linux, but it's still free and open source software. It's got a 1.3-inch IPS capacitive touchscreen, a week-long battery life, and I can agree that's about the battery life I'm getting. Bluetooth 5, heart rate sensor, step counting. Then we go here, you can see more specifically, it has a 240 by 240 touchscreen, and pretty much it runs any OS built on top of the RTOSs. The system on chip is a Nordic semiconductor I've never heard of. Got 4 megabytes of user storage. So once again, it has Bluetooth 5, health tracking with step counting, heart rate detection, wrist vibration, quick glance via lift to shake, all week 180 millihertz ampere battery. Then if you go to the store, you can see that it costs $26.99. I think I had paid the original retail price. I think my total was about $38 or so, but I would say the range is $25 to $40 for this smartwatch. Okay, and then to actually sync up your Pinetime, you can do it one of two ways. You can actually use the pinephone to sync and update to the latest firmware, which is probably the first thing you'll want to do. You're going to want to download an app called Siglo. Instead of connecting the Pinetime first to the Bluetooth, you have to just connect it first to the Siglo, and then that will establish a Bluetooth connection with it. And then to actually update the firmware, what you'll want to do is you'll click the tag and then the asset, and then you just click update firmware, and that will get it updated. It could take about 5 minutes or so. But once you're updated, you'll see that you're on the latest version. In this video here, it shows version 1.6. I'm actually up to 1.7 now. Now, if you're an Android user, you're going to want to download and install F-Droid, and then install an app called Gadget Bridge. This is what you can use for Android to sync up with your Pinetime. And I think it works better in some ways. It's a little bit more intimidating because it has a bunch of settings and features, but once you get it connected, all you got to do is turn on Bluetooth on your phone, and then it'll detect the infinity time here. The one thing with the pinephone is that on the pinephone, it didn't properly sync the time, but with this Gadget Bridge app, it seems to have actually synced it automatically. So I think overall this app on Android works better. but it's still nice that there's a dedicated app for the pinephone. You can go through the settings, but by default, it'll allow notifications. The notifications themselves seem to be somewhat hit or miss. Thankfully, the text message notifications seem to work well. I was getting text messages sent through regular SMS, and even the ones sent through Signal. And then on Signal, if you adjust the settings for notifications to show the name and the actual content of the message, you can actually see the message on the Pinetime. Unfortunately, you can't reply on the Pinetime itself, but I was surprised that that was already working perfectly fine. Alright, so this is the Pinetime in action, and if you swipe from the top down, you'll see your message notifications. So this includes text messages received from Signal and from just the standard SMS. If you swipe from the left to the right, you can see some options. There's the settings option, and that has a bunch of options like the display. And you can choose and adjust how the display times out here or how long it takes. And then there's the wake up option to choose how you want to activate or turn on the Pinetime. You can either do a single tap on the touchscreen, a double tap, and then also do the raise wrist, which is what most smartwatches do. So you raise your wrist to look at the time and it lights up. And then you have the time format. Of course, I just stick with 12-hour. And then you have the watch face, which you can change it to this Pinetime style look, but I'm just not really vibing with the look. It's very bright yellow and red. And then here in the steps, you can set your daily steps goal. I think it came with 10,000 by default, but I'm just gonna leave it like that. Then you can set the date, and then you can set the current time. Then you can look at the battery level, which is at 83% here. PTS colors, here will let you actually adjust the colors of the Pinetime style interface, which is cool. It's kind of like changing the theme. Then of course you can see which firmware you're at, which is 1.7.2. And then about just more information about the OS here. And then here you can adjust the brightness level. You can set it to bright, somewhat bright, and then full brightness. And you can adjust the notifications, vibrate or silent. And then you have this flashlight-like app, which I guess it's supposed to make it easy to view in the night. Somewhat acts like a flashlight. The notifications for messages will only work if your phone is not active or you're not using your phone. I noticed that when I was actually playing around with my phone and I would get text messages, I would not get any notifications on my smartwatch. And then if you swipe from the bottom up, you can see some more options. The first option is more of a stopwatch. And then the second one is it actually syncs to your phone in terms of like the music or video that you're playing, and you can pause and play it. So that's pretty neat. Then you have a navigation option, which I was not able to get it to work. I was thinking it would show what I was doing on Google Maps, but it did not. And then you have the steps counter, where you can see how many steps you've taken. The heart rate monitor, which you can press play to start recording your beats per minute. And then this hourglass is a timer. I guess you can set it to give you a notification or give you a reminder. And then you have this drawing app, which is kind of cool. Kind of doesn't really do anything. And then you have this game here, Pong. So that's pretty cool if you want to game on your Pinetime. There's options here. Another game is this game, I think it's traditionally called 2048. You just got to create a really high number, I guess. And this, I'm not sure exactly what this does, but it supposedly tracks your steps throughout the day or something like that. And then you have the alarm, so you can set an alarm. I don't know if it worked too well because I set one up and it vibrates, but it didn't really wake me up, so I don't know if I'd actually use that. And then to do a quick comparison here on performance, I have the Fossil Wear OS smartwatch on the right, and when I'm navigating through the menus, the speeds are very comparable. I do notice some FPS drops on the Google smartwatch, and then I feel like when I press on certain options on the Pinetime, they load a lot faster than the Google smartwatch. There's not as noticeable a lag when clicking the options here. which is good considering that the one on the right cost $100 and then the Pinetime of course costs around $30. As you can see, the Pinetime offers tremendous value. It not only costs a lot cheaper, but it has tremendous battery life, especially if you compare it to something more premium like the Apple Watch, which has like about 18 hours worth of battery life and costs several $100s. The Pinetime looks much better in comparison. In addition, the Pinetime still offers counting your footsteps. It has a heart rate monitor, it has a steps counter, and overall the performance is very smooth, especially compared to other budget Android Wear OS watches, which cost around $100 or so. Once again, the Pinetime looks better in terms of performance. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think the Pinetime offers a lot of value? Do you think the Pinetime is missing any key features? Do you see yourself getting this smartwatch over other smartwatches? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like my content, please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. If you're enjoying my video, you can subscribe to me on YouTube, PeerTube, follow me on Odyssey. You could also support me on LiberaPay, Patreon, and by shopping at Earth Hero. See links in the description below.